we as bookkeepers, we are the shields from our clients, between the clients and the government, between the CRA and the IRS. I said, we are their Captain America, because if we did not do the work that we do, they could be sometimes in trouble with those governments. And I said, so we are their shield and we are their protectors. And I fully believe that. And the work that we do is so much more than just entering receipts.
You're listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with your host, Michael Palmer. Listen each week as inspiring guests share their secrets of success to help you increase your confidence, work smarter, and build a business you love. This episode of The Successful Bookkeeper is brought to you by PureBookkeeping.com, the proven system to grow your bookkeeping business.
Welcome back to the Successful Bookkeeper Podcast. I am your host, Michael Palmer, and today's show is going to be a fantastic one. Our guest is the CEO of JKM Strategies, Inc. She's also a Pure Bookkeeping licensee, and she is a member of the Accelerate to Advisor team, which is super exciting. Janet Mercredi, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Michael. This is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Yes, absolutely. I absolutely love having an opportunity to delve into the business journey of bookkeepers and to hear where you've been, where you are, where you're going. So let's maybe kick it off and tell us a little bit about your career journey leading up to this point.
So I became a bookkeeper about 7 years ago, and it was kind of by fluke. My brother was running a DJ company at the time, and he had absolutely no idea what numbers were or how to record anything. And so he just asked me one day, he's like, do you want to do my books? And I'm like, okay, I can learn to do books. So it kind of from there spiraled into owning my own bookkeeping business, because I realized that going through the processes and procedures of doing the books and being a bookkeeper really satisfied my personality of the practical and the doing the routine for him. And so then from there, I realized that I kind of developed a passion for helping him by doing books. And I'm like, I think I can do this for other people. So I started small, just like a lot of bookkeepers do. You know, you're working full time. And I started this kind of as a side hustle. And within a couple of years, it grew from there. And I decided to go out on my own, and I formed my own bookkeeping company at the time. So that was 2017, I believe.
Nice. So you are now like 4 years into full blast in your own business.
Yes. Yeah. I'm now 4 years in. I've changed my name since then in my business, and my focus has changed a little bit, but I am still very involved in the bookkeeping world, and I still very much enjoy being a part of the bookkeeping community.
Beautiful. Well, let's maybe jump into those two. You changed the name of your business. You changed your direction a little bit. Those are two big ones. Maybe which one should we start with? I'm thinking the change in business comes with the change in name, or no, maybe not.
No, you're right. It does.
Let's dig into that. What happened?
So what happened was I was JKM Bookkeeping Services for the first 5 years, actually going on 6 years, because it was just this year that I changed my name. And what happened was I was on the internet and I was Googling ways to improve my bookkeeping business. And a fun fact, I actually reached out and I had a phone conversation with yourself in early spring of 2018. And we had about a half an hour conversation, and you explained everything about the PBS system and whatnot. But at the time, I was still kind of plugging along, and it was just not the right time for me after we hung up the phone that day. And then a year later, in 2019, I was again, Googling, and I always had the PBS system and I always had our conversation in the back of my head. And I came across Lisa Campbell's PowerPoint presentation that she had done online, and I'd never seen or heard of her prior to that. It was just a Tuesday night, 10 p.m. searching the internet type thing. And I came across her PowerPoint about elevating your bookkeeping business. So I scheduled a call with her, and that was prior to her launching her very first Accelerate to Advisor Mastermind program in July 2019. And so I scheduled a call with her, and we had about, again, another 10, 15-minute phone call, and she explained to me her visions of this mastermind program and that it would include the PBS system. And I kind of chuckled a bit, and she's like, "What are you laughing at?" I'm like, "Well, I just spoke with Michael Palmer a year ago. So this is the same system." And she said, "Yeah, it's the exact same system. And we incorporate it into the Accelerate to Advisor." And I'm like, okay, well, this is just meant to be. So I have to dive into this. And just in talking with her, I jumped in both feet and I went for it. And I became one of her first legacy members, we call ourselves now, because we were the very first group in that program to work with her back in 2019. And it's just kind of flown from there. And
Amazing.
Yeah. So realistically, though, I can say, because of talking with you in 2018, I think you were the catalyst in helping me to decide that this was something that I needed to do. And then Lisa just took me over the top.
I remember the conversation. I mean, it's getting on a while ago, and there are lots of conversations in between, but I always love those conversations because they're actually very similar to these episodes, where I'm just understanding where you are, where you're wanting to go, what's in your way, those sorts of things. I'm curious, and I'm sure the listener is, what you were 10 o'clock, you're searching. What was driving that search for you in your business? Was it that you just felt like something wasn't going right, or that you thought there could be more? Or what specifically, if you could, what was it that had you searching for a better way?
It was the pain points of being a good bookkeeper, where we are working 16-hour days. I was realizing that I was missing out on my kids' activities because I had client work to do. I was missing out on even having a date night with my husband because I had client work to do. And I found myself up to that point where I was working long hours. I would be watching a movie with my husband on the couch, but I had my laptop on my knees and I was working. So I wasn't really fully engaged in my family life. And I always knew that there was a better way. And after talking to you, that was always in the back of my mind when we had our first conversation. And then that episode, or that PowerPoint presentation that Lisa did, it really hit home. It just spoke to me. And I'm like, there is a better way. And so I jumped into it with both feet, and I've never looked back. And I can honestly say I cannot be more excited about my future than I was back then. Like it's completely a game changer. It's completely changed my outlook on what I want for my life and for my business and for my family.
We'll get back to the interview right after this word from our sponsor. Hey there, accountants and bookkeepers. It goes without saying, our economy has changed, and with it, so have the needs of your clients. Employees are in short supply, and employers are hungry to find, hire, and keep talented people. After all, there is no bottom line without the team who helps drive the business. For accountants and bookkeepers, this means financial support is just one piece of the puzzle. To help your clients' businesses truly thrive, you need to offer guidance around people operations too. Things like health and financial benefits, hiring and onboarding, performance, and all the things that make your clients' workplaces rewarding. Fortunately, Gusto offers accountants and bookkeepers the tools to manage all of this and more. Their comprehensive HR platform people advisory training programs, and data-driven insights can help make you an irreplaceable asset to the businesses who rely on you. Join Gusto today. Become People Advisor certified, access perks like exclusive discounts and CPE credits, all while growing your practice. Plus, your own payroll is totally free. Just visit gusto.com/The Successful Bookkeeper. That's gusto.com/The Successful Bookkeeper. Thank you for hearing from our sponsor. Now let's get back to the interview. That was, when did you start, that was 2018.
Yep.
That you started with Lisa, and you started working on the systems and process through pure bookkeeping into your business. And tell us a little bit about some of the things that shifted for you in that process. I mean, you were where you were, working 16-hour days, not having the free time, not having, literally working, but not getting the sort of the rewards, I guess you could say, of what you were working for, which is, spend time with your family, have free time, those sorts of things. What shifted?
What shifted was the entire program of Accelerate to Advisor. It made me realize that prior to Accelerate to Advisor, or short form, I call it A2A, my business was an obscurity of what it could be. And after A2A, it became a reality of what it can be. And that's a quote I say quite often. I came up with that during the program. But it's absolutely true. So what shifted was going through the A2A program. I put my goals and my vision and my missions on paper, and it became a reality. And then to top it off, implementing the PBS system, it put everything in chronological order. It put things in my calendar. It allowed me to see visually the duties and the tasks that I needed to do for each of my clients, but also the time that it was taking me to do those, so that I could start setting boundaries of when I actually did the work. And so the entire ecosystem of using the PBS system, I would say, would be the biggest catalyst for organizing my business, so that I could then say to my clients, I don't work after 4 p.m. And if you text me or email me after 4 p.m., you will receive a message the following day, because my entire life was now organized on my calendar. So I knew exactly what I needed to do and when I needed to do it. And so implementing that entire ecosystem, it freed up my mind of stress and overwhelm and worrying about missing deadlines or, putting out fires for clients. So it's just completely changed my outlook. And I fully believe you can have anything you absolutely dream of in your life. You just need to plan for it. And the PBS system helped me do that.
It's remarkable. I mean, we talk about it all the time. So I love hearing the story of how it unfolds for everyone. And we were literally just yesterday having a call about that. People dream about winning the lottery, and yet we have everything in our abilities to create our own lottery winnings. We don't need a ticket. And we do that through planning, dreaming, and then taking the actions to actually create that reality that we want, which would be having a life that's like winning the lottery. But it's this piece up above our, between our ears, our brain. That's the piece. And if people aren't using that, if they're not dreaming and then documenting and really getting committed to the future that they want to live, well, you can't win the lottery because you haven't designed the ticket.
That's right.
You went and designed the ticket, and now you're fulfilling on and building your lottery life, if you will.
Exactly. Yeah, I do feel like I've won the lottery because it has allowed me to see what I want and then know the steps to get it. And that in itself is freeing. It's that little voice between your ears telling you that you can do great things. But prior to going into that program and meeting Lisa and meeting you, it still felt like a vague dream. And now I have the action steps to actually achieve it. And there's really no better feeling than that.
It's remarkable. So when you've created this, and we've talked about, you shared, the systems and the process, obviously around pure bookkeeping is bringing structure to your business and having a system-driven business. It's one piece. But then in Accelerate to Advisor, what do you think were some of the key things that had this happen? I mean, could you have done this on your own?
I could have done it on my own, but only to a certain point. I could have done it on my own in terms of writing out, let's just use a daily task list as an example. I could have on my own written out everything that I do for clients on a piece of paper, post it on my wall, put it on my computer screen, whatever it is, and do that. But that wouldn't have been enough. And so having the encouragement and the other members in the mastermind group, and having Lisa walk us through how to fully implement it so that every piece of our lives is documented and followed through, and having those steps and actually doing them is what was the game changer for me. And having the support, for me personally, the support of the mastermind program members is why I thrived, because we all came in with the same struggles, the same stresses, the same overwhelms, and we rose together. And when you felt like you couldn't keep going, you had your team, your tribe, to say, yes, you can. Yes, you can absolutely do this. And so can anybody else. And I think that's the biggest thing that you can ever take away from going through this process, is that every single person can do it. We just sometimes need a little bit of guidance and support to get us there.
It's so true. And, just super clear. And I've used this quote so many times on the podcast. A lot of people probably said it, but the one that I attribute it to is Charlie Tremendous Jones. And he said, "You will be the same person 5 years from now, but for the books you read and the people you surround yourself with." And so paying attention to, who are you surrounding yourself with, and what content are you putting into your mind? What are you learning? How are you learning? What resources are you putting into your mind? That's what has the shift. And so you essentially went and surrounded yourself with people that had already done what you wanted to do, met much of what you wanted to do and achieve, and you used the tools and the processes that those people were using. But it's not like it just magically unfolds. You had to do the work. You had to be there. You had to go through the ups, the downs, the struggles, and shift yourself. And really, in anything people do, you're not the same person at the end of the, if we don't say the end of the journey, the whole journey, but let's say there's, components of life. Building a business is a journey, and there's multiple journeys in that journey itself. There's let's climb this mountain, another mountain, there's always another level. If you're in sports, there's always different levels to which you play, and that's a lifelong journey. Being in business is a lifelong journey. Being in a relationship is a lifelong journey, many ups, many downs. But when you start walking that journey with those other people and using this, it accelerates. And I mean, that's a great name for Lisa's program. It accelerates your progress through that journey, and almost improves or increases the likelihood that you will get through the journey and have the results that you wanted to have out of that. Tell us a little bit about some of those ups and downs for you.
Well, if you were to ask any of the Legacy Mastermind members, and I will say that the people that I met in that first mastermind, they're in my circle for life. I'm not the type of person where when I make a connection with somebody, it's meaningful, and it's I trust, and I go in with my entire heart. And so I'm kind of laughing about it now when I look back on it, but I call myself the crier of the group, because I wear my emotions on my sleeve, And I don't know how many times we could have our weekly calls during that journey where I just felt like I couldn't do it. I felt like I wasn't good enough. I felt like it was too much work. I felt overwhelmed because, again, it's a lot of work. It's rewarding work once it's done, but it is a lot of work. And I would come to the calls and I'd break down and I would cry. And I do that quite often. But on the flip side of that, I also cry when somebody is happy. And I share in the emotions on both sides of the spectrum. So a lot of when I was down, I would cry. And I remember the first time I did it, everybody was kind of looking at me and they're like, who is this nut job? Why is she crying to us? We just met. But it didn't take long for them to realize that that's who I am. And it just brought us that much closer together. So it is and was a lot of work, but I can honestly say that it is the most rewarding thing to know that I did it, and the fact that I proved it to myself that I was able to do it, just it fills me up, and I know that everybody can too.
It's lovely. Well, thank you for sharing that. And it really is amazing to hear. You know, it's not the first time I've heard it where you've been in the program and you make these really, really strong connections with other people that are walking the same path as you. And together, the bonds that are created, it's your support system literally for life. Now, I did read that 2019 in particular was a difficult year for you. Would you be open to sharing about that?
That was a huge turning point for me because of going through the program and meeting the new people that I have. And I quite often say that I felt like we are a large, because working out of your home office, you feel alone a lot of the times, and you don't feel like you have colleagues, right? Because you're at your home office and you talk on the phone with your clients or you email them and what have you, but you miss the relationships of actually having people around you who are in the office, like physically in the office with you. And so going through the program with Lisa and the mastermind members, I often say that I have a large office now. It's just that we all meet over a computer screen instead of seeing each other physically. And it's amazing that having that connection, because a lot of times people think that when you're talking to somebody through a computer screen or over the phone like this, that you don't make those connections. But I can honestly tell you that that's not the case. Whether I am in a room with the person or whether I'm on the computer, those connections are real. And so 2019 was a struggle for me because my kids were busy and I was building my business to be greater than what it already was. And my husband has always supported me along this journey, but he also doesn't fully understand it either, right? Because he's not a bookkeeper. And so he gave me the love and support that I needed. And then the tribe gave me the business support that I needed. So yeah, 2019 was a struggling year, but it was also a change year in terms of who I am as a person too. So I came out a different person at the end of all that.
It's wonderful to hear. And, that's, again, comes back to the people that you were surrounding yourself with. You had such an incredible support system to get you through that. And now on the other side, let's talk a little bit about the transformation now of your business from just doing bookkeeping to more coaching. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So as I went through that journey, I realized education has always been a really strong point for me, where I love to educate people on anything. If I know something and you need help with it, I'm going to help you in some way. And so education's always kind of been my backbone of who I am. And so I realized as I was going through the program that there are lots of good bookkeepers in the world. And partway through the program, I kind of changed my mindset a little bit. And as much as my ego might think that the world's going to miss me if I don't continue as a good bookkeeper, I know that's not the case. And so I shifted my mindset into more the education piece. And instead of being a good bookkeeper, like a lot of everybody listening to this podcast, I decided that I could help those good bookkeepers by giving them a hand up and also helping their clients. And so I went more into the coaching side of things. Quite often when we were in the mastermind program, some of the members, they referred to me as the encourager. I was their cheerleader. And so as much as they helped me get through those valleys when I needed their help, they always come back and say, you are the one that got me through when I was having a difficult time. And so it helped me realize that that I don't need to be the good bookkeeper, but I can use my knowledge of the bookkeeping industry to elevate those good bookkeepers who absolutely love being bookkeepers by making them look like rock stars to their clients. And so now, as part of the A2A team, I coach those good bookkeepers through the program, and I give them the guidance and support so that they can look like rock stars by implementing the process, by going through their vision statements and implementing the PBS system and talking about their goals and realizing those goals. And so I guide and support them with their systems and helping them to create their ecosystems. And then from there, I went into the Profit First certification to elevate my coaching side of things. So that's kind of where my business is now, which takes me back to our original comment about my business name changing in this year, that I switched from JKM Bookkeeping Services to JKM Strategies, Inc., so that I could encompass more of the coaching side of helping those good bookkeepers out there.
Amazing. So I can hear that just in the journey that you've had. I mean, you're the encourager, you're in shifting and altering and transforming your own business, and now you're helping others do the same. How has that shifted the bookkeeping side of the business? Do you still operate that, or is it now focused purely on Profit First and Accelerate to Advisor?
I still have a select few bookkeeping clients that I always will, because they started with me from the beginning back in 2015 to 2017, all in that era. So I still have a few bookkeeping clients that I will keep for good. And the reason for that is because of using the PBS system and having the procedures and processes in place. I now have a team member who does that compliance work for me. And so I can then concentrate on the coaching side of my business. So I do have a few bookkeeping clients that I will always keep, but going forward, I am not looking to replace any of those good bookkeepers out there in terms of being a bookkeeper. I would rather elevate those good bookkeepers and helping them elevate their clients so that they do look like rock stars to their clients. And I do that through the A2A by coaching them through the program so they look like rock stars after they've achieved that, and using the Profit First methodology that I certified myself in. I do that by helping their clients turn profits, which then in turn makes the bookkeepers look like rock stars because their clients have a better understanding of their cash flow and they have a better understanding of what their money is actually doing in their business. Because what I found is a lot of the good bookkeepers that are out there, they also have this knowledge of knowing what cash and how money moves in and out of their clients' businesses. But sometimes because they are the bookkeeper, the clients don't turn to them because they, quote, see them as just the bookkeeper. And there are some bookkeepers out there who have the knowledge, but maybe would rather stay on the compliance side of things. And that's completely fine as well. And because that's their passion. And so those are the good bookkeepers that I want to help elevate by helping their clients using the cash flow methodology.
It's always one of those interesting things when I hear these stories. I mean, you've got into business, and many listener, or a listener right now, got into business likely for a few of these reasons. You wanted to make more money, you wanted to have more freedom, you wanted to have more fun. I mean, those are the three golden pillars, if you will, of why someone would go into business for themselves. And it's actually what Michael Gerber wrote about in the E-Myth, which is the entrepreneurial myth, is that having your own, being an entrepreneur or being in business for yourself actually provides all of those things. And it actually doesn't. It's a myth. And so the book E-Myth, which is today not a great title for a book because people think it's maybe the electronic myth or email, right? But that's what Michael Gerber wrote about now 40 odd years ago, is that a business without systems it does not deliver the freedoms, it does not deliver more money, it does not deliver more fun. What you did is you actually turned that up on its head, and you put systems and process in place, you put yourself around the right people that were going in the similar direction, you got the support that you needed mentally, and then you implemented the things that you knew to work, that were proven to work for you, and you built a system-driven business. And now you've got that freedom, you've got more money, and you're having more fun.
Exactly, 100%.
And that is the promise of E-Myth, is when you do it, these are the things that you get. So, going into bookkeeping, being a bookkeeper and being a bookkeeping business owner, two different things, often confused in our industry, that because have clients, I have a business, and you actually don't. You're just doing a technical role of being a bookkeeper. And so to create what you've created is remarkable to see. And whilst, yes, there's all these great things that were there to help you along your way, I know, having seen hundreds and hundreds of people, probably getting into the thousands of people now in my decade, more than a decade of working in this industry, is that it's the ones that do the work that get the results. I mean, I could put all the golden tickets in front of someone, but if they don't do the work, if they're not willing to have the courage to take the risks and go through things that are difficult, challenging, like you said, your 2019 was a roller coaster of emotions and challenges, and literally you did the work, you faced your fears, and you made it happen. And so my hat is off to you.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, 2019 was my turning point. It definitely was a roller coaster, but I came out the other side. And that's really what it comes down to, is we all go through those roller coasters, and it's just a matter of how bad do you want it? And it is work. We don't lie. It is work, but it's such rewarding at the end of it because you come out the other side. It's a beautiful thing, really.
It is a beautiful thing. And now you've got the freedom, your bookkeeping business runs somewhat on autopilot for you.
Mm-hmm.
You have the freedom to do your work, your passionate work. There's a fellow by the name of Matt Church, and actually one of my mentors, Peter Cook, they wrote a book. And one of the taglines on the book is, do work you love with people you like the way you want. I mean, what an aspiration. And that's what you're doing, right? And now you're doing that in our community of bookkeepers, helping them, and those people help business owners be more successful, make more money. I mean, these are the things that I'm always really interested in and passionate about hearing and seeing and contributing to as well. And so thank you on behalf of that whole community for the work you're doing.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Yeah, no, it's very rewarding because, I mean, I'm a small town person. I grew up in a very small town of 600 people or less. And one of the main things that I learned in my childhood was a community works together for the greater good. And when you come from those types of roots, it's actually quite easy to be a part of a community such as this with the bookkeeping industry. If I can be a small part of any bookkeeper's journey in helping them and guiding them to have them be rock stars in their clients' eyes, whether that be through the coaching them through the A2A program or using my Profit First methodology, cash flow certification, that's why I'm here. That's my purpose. That's my passion, because I truly believe that the industry itself is evolving and has changed, and we are more than just transactional people. We are the shields. I said this the other day on one of the A2A calls. I said, we as bookkeepers, we are the shields from our clients, between the clients and the government, between the CRA and the IRS. I said, we are their Captain America, because if we did not do the work that we do, they could be sometimes in trouble with those governments. And I said, so we are their shield and we are their protectors. And I fully believe that. And the work that we do is so much more than just entering receipts.
So well said. I absolutely love that. I absolutely love that. And I know that there's likely many business owners that would say cheers to that. And because literally they're in their business not to do that work, not to have to deal with that, and probably don't have the skills nor the competency to actually deal with it. And so, yes, it's a slippery slope into, at times, can be catastrophic outcomes. And,
Completely.
And the stress and anxiety and all of that goes with that. So I am well aware of that, and I agree completely. Now, I am sure, listener, that you may be thinking, wow, Janet sounds like me back in 2018. So, Janet, if people want to have a conversation with you, what is the best way for them to do that?
The easiest way to get in touch with me is email janet@jkmstrategies.com, because like I said, I am my own person. My compliance specialist does only the bookkeeping work, so I still manage all of my email, and so that is a personal way to get in touch with me. Another way, if you want to go direct to my calendar to book an actual Zoom meeting so we can meet and have a coffee date virtually, is to go to my website at jkmstrategies.ca, and on the top right corner there's a big yellow button that says contact me. And so those would be the two easiest ways to get a hold of me.
Wonderful. Well, we're going to have those links right in the show notes. If that's something that you want to have a coffee date with Janet, well, there it is. You'll have the link. Just scroll down and click on that, or somewhere on the screen or on your phone. You will find that. Yep. Janet, it's always a pleasure. Thank you on behalf of our listeners for your generosity and sharing your story, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the awesome now of your story. And so thank you for being on the show.
Well, I sincerely appreciate the fact that you chose me. It's an honor to even be on the show. So I sincerely appreciate the fact that I was able to be a guest on your podcast. So I appreciate that very much, and I thank you as well.
The honor is all ours, but thank you. And with that, we wrap another episode of the Successful Bookkeeper Podcast. To learn more about today's wonderful guest and to get access to all sorts of valuable free business building resources, you can go to thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Until next time, goodbye.
You've been listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with Michael Palmer. For more information and to download the resources mentioned in this episode, please visit us at thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Thank you for listening.